So this is Jim and Ben with DC Digital, and today I'm demonstrating a DC-40N-POE-NEMA, and this is a power over Ethernet time of day network clock. And have Ben here with me, and he's going to introduce the web page that is resident on the network card. And he's going to take us through how to set up the web page and how to set up the network clock so that it can point to a specific IP address, your time zone, your time format, and all that is involved with the network clock. So, Ben, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and have you go into showing them what goes on with the web page.
Okay.
And how to manipulate that data. Okay.
All right. If you can zoom in on the screen there.
Sure. Go ahead.
So this is the home page. So once you have the clock connected to your network, you type in the IP address into your web browser. It'll pull up this page. This page is purely informational. There's a clock settings page in addition to this page, and a network settings page in addition to this page. The clock setting contains all of the settings that are not related specifically to networking.
And those are labeled across the top there in categories?
Yes. So home, clock settings, network settings, and if you purchase the additional bell schedule is up there.
Okay.
In this product, these three pages are active. I'm going to go over the information screen here. You have three sections. NTP server information, that's where we're obtaining the time from and to correct the clock. The network information about our network, how it's configured, and the time information. Right now we are configured as a clock for 12-hour mode in Hawaii Aleutian Standard Time, which is a -10 offset from UTC. We are observing daylight savings time, so this is winter. In the summer, this would spring forward, and we would observe a 9-hour offset instead, and it would say daylight time here. We're pointing to time.nast.gov. That's a default value for our factory to test with. You're certainly welcome to point that to any NTP server you wish, and I'll show you how to do that.
It is a pooled URL, so it has multiple NTP servers that could, if the first server is not up and running, the next server, and it just keeps toggling to the next server until it finds one that has NTP time. Correct?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Then we have the time that it last obtained the last successful attempt. That was at 9:48, and this only refreshes if we refresh the page.
The actual web page.
Yeah, it doesn't refresh on its own. The next thing is, did our last attempt, see we update every 6 minutes, so if we make an attempt and the network doesn't respond, this will say network error.
And that's changeable too, the amount of time between corrections or actually NTP retrieval, right?
Yes, the synchronized interval is adaptable from 1 minute to 1,800 minutes to accommodate the compliance with whatever server. If you're dealing with a public server, they'll have restrictions as to how frequently you can poll it for the time.
And then you'll show us that later in another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your network information is here, where DHCP is configured, which means Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Our router is giving us these values.
We can go static, and you'll show us how to change that too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And then we give it a device name by default, which is also changeable on the network page.
These are all changeable values that's going to be on the next page, but it's just displaying the values and parameters that have been established thus far, right?
Right. So the clockwork settings page and the network settings page and the bell schedule page are all behind a password. a username and password, and the default username and password is username and password. Username for username, password for password.
That's default.
It is on the clock settings page that you're able to change that username and password here in this first form. And you have to repeat the password and match it twice in order for it to be successful. Here you can change the URL that you're pointing to, the time server. You can put a numeric, a IPv4 dotted notation IP address in there instead of a domain, and that will still work. Your update interval is right there. We can change it to 24-hour mode, and we'll go ahead and do that. We can tell it not to observe daylight savings time, and we can also change the time zone to any of the
So change it to the Eastern.
yeah,
time zone.
yep. So we'll change it to Eastern time zone.
And change your. Can you change your minutes to 1 and
Yeah, we can change the minutes to 1.
just to kind of give us.
We'll submit that. Okay. Now,
So
for these settings to reflect here, we do have to obtain time from an NTP server.
and it did.
As soon as we do that,
So it shows now the new time in 24-hour format. So
yep.
okay, very good.
And then the last page I'm going to preview is the network settings page. And here you do have to select static if you want to change the values below that. If you don't select static here, if you change all these, make all these changes, they'll just zero out, and it'll still obtain the information from the router if it's able to.
And you have device name there too, right?
Yeah,
So
and I'm going to change that. Let's say you want to put this in the main office.
You're just giving the device a name.
Yep, I'm just giving the device a name. I'm going to go ahead and leave it DHCP because I don't have values right now.
You don't know what the value would be. Yeah.
Okay. And you'll see here, it's now named main office, and that's not just on the page here, but if you pull up your network administration tools, you should be able to see this as a device on your network with that name, given that name.
Very good.
So that's the whole
All right.
interface.
Okay, wonderful. So again, this is Ben and Jim with DC Digital, and today we're demonstrating the web page that is resident on this DC-40N-POE-NEMA time of day clock. Thank you.